Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 466. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Claire Taylor from FFS Media. Claire, we're thinking about the future here. We are now released on March 15th, so we're going to need to get our minds around the fact that we're in the future now. As the future goes, how is the future treating you?
Oh, the future is great. Much prefer it to the present, frankly.
Yeah.
Everything has become easy. I have overcome all of my mental blocks in the future, and the words are just flowing. Nothing is stopping me.
And you've been doing all that from your hammock.
I have. I've been doing all that from I think maybe the hammock is why the future is so bright.
Well, that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
What about you, Brian? What's the future hold for you? Future present.
My future is great. Getting ready for a lot of trips this year. I'm going to a few different conferences. Inkers Con in June, Pacific Northwest Writers Conference in September in Seattle, 20 Books Vegas in November. It's a lot of travel. Also doing a little 10-year honeymoon anniversary.
Oh.
So we're doing that in August.
Where are y'all going?
Going back to where we went, which is Cancun, and
nice.
I'm excited for some nice warmth, and yeah, so that'll be fun, and so the future this week, I don't know, but the future generally, it's going to be seeing a lot of people going a lot of places, and I'm looking forward to it.
That sounds very energizing for you.
Yeah, I think it will be. So, last week or 2 weeks ago we had the question, what do you do when you realize your writer's block is stemming from fear? I have them here. I didn't share them with Claire because I forgot. But CF Shiflett said, my writer's block stems from unresolved logic. Never fear. Interesting. We've got Cassandra. She says, you take a break and do some writing exercises that help you remember why you love writing in the first place. Try some silly prompts or character pieces with low pressure for yourself. I like that. As a former improv comedian, I particularly like the silly prompts. Shez says, it's only happened to me once, and when I took a step back, I realized the fear was stemming from the expectations I was putting on the book's sales potential. Once I reminded myself that even if it flopped, it wouldn't be the end of my career, I was able to move forward again. Claire, I bet you like that one.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of this is just these people are reconnecting with the story, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the writer's block comes when we just disconnect from the story for one reason or another, usually emotions. You can call it logic, but it could be fear that your logic is faulty, which is an emotion. Oh no, not emotions. But yeah, so
I think we've just been blocked now.
Blocked.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I love those. Chez is right on.
Yeah, absolutely. You can answer future questions of the week over at Afterparty or sellmorebookshow.com. We've got a story for today. We had a different title before, but I had to rename this. So let's go into the top story. Are you ready, Claire?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Awesome. Six-pack success. It's been over 10 years since the Kindle Gold Rush started, and indie author Hugh Howey's Silo series, featuring his best-selling novel Wool, is finally about to be released for streaming audiences. Howey's is just the latest property by indie authors to be picked up by streaming services. Over the last few years, Johnny B. Truant's Fat Vampire, Jaymin Eve's Supernatural Academy, and now Howey's Wool have finally gotten the attention they deserve. Howey was an early pioneer in the self-publishing space and an advocate for fellow indie authors. In addition, Howey was one of the first indie authors to bridge from indie to traditional publishing, becoming one of the first notable hybrid authors. Wool's journey to the screen was not a quick one, says the author. Quote, it started back when I was still working in a bookstore watching my sales take off. I had to violate my boss's policy of having cell phones at our desk because I was expecting a call from Ridley Scott, end quote. Like many film options, that first deal didn't result in a show, but 10 or so years later, AMC and Apple stepped in. The trailer for the big budget dystopian post-apocalyptic series just dropped. Howie posted on his blog, quote, "You'll finally see it all in motion for the first time," says the author. "It's absolutely epic. I've watched it half a dozen times and I still get goosebumps." The star-studded cast includes Emmy nominee Rashida Jones and Academy Award winner Tim Robbins, with release date of May 5th on Apple TV+. I love these stories because, yes, we're not all going to get a film deal, but we can be excited when an indie, especially an OG indie like Hugh Howey, who I brought in the six-pack thing because he's famous for his sexy boat photos of this, just this ripped dude who happens to be a successful author. He guest co-hosted the show way back in the first 50 episodes a million years ago, and I was like, ah. So, Claire, what do you think about all this?
I think it's cool. I think that there is such a stigma still around indie published stories that every time one hits big, a few more people start to go, okay, maybe this is actually just an untapped well of good storytelling that maybe we can do at a reasonable budget because these people are, getting started in the industry. So, I think that it's a good thing all around, and I hope it does well. Yeah.
The trailer, if you have not watched it, it looks like a big, big budget epic the way they've done it.
This is not the low budget they're looking for. But yeah,
exactly.
This is big budget.
I'm just saying that to say that this might be the biggest indie adaptation ever to this point. Because
Apple TV is really it's shelling out.
Yeah. And hey, I mean, I guess the hopes are that, like, with The Last of Us being so popular, dystopian being popular right now, I hope this one gets into the system, gets renewed. Some of these streaming services are notorious for only letting something run for a season or two. So the hope is this lasts and that it does so well that it gets an early pickup or something for another season. And yeah, this would be awesome. Congrats to Hugh.
Yeah, amazing.
So, Claire, what can the average author take away from this movie, streaming deal kind of stuff of Hugh Howey and other indie authors?
Well, I think it's important for authors, when they see something like Hugh Howey's deal, to understand the timeline of this and that it works very differently, right? We're used to, as indie authors, having an idea, executing on it, publishing it, and then seeing success, failure, try some things, maybe some more success, right? But it's really within our own hands, and we're kind of the ones that determine the timeline. But when you start to look at something like TV, film, you are you really don't want to get too attached to the promises and the prospects. Don't get overexcited until it's actually in production, because even ones that get into production have a long and winding road there. So it can, it can be exciting. And if someone wants to option the rights, you can just celebrate that someone optioned the rights. You don't have to wait until it's made to celebrate.
Yeah, take as many opportunities to celebrate as possible, because we need more celebrations.
Exactly. Okay, Bryan. Can a Hollywood deal be part of an author's plan, or is it just a bonus should it one day happen?
So authors should not include a film or TV deal as part of their plans. I see this a lot. People will say it, and I think it's something that, Claire, you've said a bunch of times, is just like, people will say they want to hit a certain dollar amount because they think that that's what is the perceived success. So they say, like, oh, well, if I became a TV show, it'd be really cool. But it's like, there is very little chance that something will become a TV show, especially if you're not actively hunting people to make it into a TV show. It needs to be a very active process. But if it should it one day happen, does it feel like it would be a bonus? I mean, of course you can say, wouldn't that be amazing? You can dream about it. But I think the real thing you have to fall in love with is the work. You need to love the things that you're doing for writing and the things that you're doing for marketing and treat those as cool everyday rewards. And if they don't feel like everyday rewards, try something different. Try not to make it about these big pie in the sky film and TV deals.
Totally agree. Yep.
Awesome.
Set goals that you have control over.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Yes. You need the control. And not just because I'm type A. That's not the only reason I'm saying it.
Right.
So, yeah. So, speaking of control, here are the lightning sound effects. Shoo, shoo, shoo. They're lightning like baby Emperor Palpatine. Like, shoo, shoo. That's the lightning round. Claire, have you ever written anything with movies or streaming in mind?
I don't write my books with movies or streaming in mind because I am trying to create stories that work well for the fiction experience, the fiction reading experience. I will sometimes go, I wonder if this is going to work for an audiobook. And then I go, that sounds like a later problem. And I move on. But the thing is, if you're creating really good stories that have the essence of what people are looking for in a story, if you're being a good storyteller in your fiction, it will be translatable to movies and streaming later on, because a story is a story. You just change a few of the superficial things for the format. Makes sense.
I like it. That's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, no telepathy in your books, y'all. Don't do it. It makes it very, very hard to translate into audiobooks. All right, Bryan, if you had a book or series that would be great for the screen, would you actively try to get a deal or hope it would be found based on the book's popularity?
If I had a book or series that I knew would just be so great for the screen, I would have to look at the prospects of what I would need to do. I've seen guest co-host of the show, Jonathan Yanez. He adapted his own story by using funding through Kickstarter. And I think that is now an angle we can take. If you really want something adapted and you don't want to wait around, there are ways to do it. If I knew that I had the audience for it, that would be able to fund it, if I knew that this was going to work, I would consider doing it myself through a medium like Kickstarter, because why even wait when you can just take the bull by the horns?
Yeah, that's definitely the approach you could take if you want to have full control.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm cutting you off because I'm full of lightning right now, Claire.
Okay.
I know. It's a lot. Claire, should books and other art forms be edited to update to reflect current standards? Obviously, this has been happening with some books in the media lately where old books have been changed to avoid things that would offend people today. Should they be updated or left alone with the understanding that they were written in a different time?
Oh, this is a real sand trap of a question to walk straight into. But okay, should books be updated and adjusted to reflect current standards, presumably societal standards, or left alone? I think that no one should be forced to change the books to update, right? I think it should be left to ideally the author or the author's estate. It could be the publisher, if, depending on how old the books are. But I think that it is important to preserve some of the historical record of what was acceptable for that time. Now, I think that having something offensive on a bookshelf is much different from having, maybe a statue in a town square. So I don't think that it is as in people's faces. Now, obviously, as far as what high school reading is a sign, that's a different conversation. But I think that these things can continue to exist. If we just updated everything, we would lose out on a lot of vocabulary. Groups that used certain terms referring to themselves, those terms are now often considered offensive. But are you going to take that away from the people who existed then? And that was how they, identified, that sort of thing. So I don't think that it should be forced. And I think that it is important to take things in the context of time and have an interesting conversation about that. You don't have to approve of it, but it's still, it still exists. Not really a lightning round speed question.
I know you had a tough one for the lightning round.
You really gave me something I couldn't answer in 15 seconds. So
that's okay. That's okay.
All right, Bryan, would you re-edit or rewrite portions of your book if you learned it was offensive to a group of people?
Well, I feel like I'm being censored right now because my lawn people are coming in right at the moment.
They're very loud.
Yeah. So I would absolutely consider re-editing something if I realize later that it was offending a lot of people, but you're always going to offend somebody. So you have to determine, am I hitting into some trolls or is it not trolls and it's actually a group of people? And so that's the tough thing. Like, you can't just change something for a couple of trolls, even if they're loud, but you can consider changing something if, oh my gosh, I offended this entire group of people. And so it's tough, but absolutely I would make changes. And I do think there is some value to sensitivity readers for this purpose. But if it's just annoying a few people, I do that on a regular basis anyway. So I'm not going to make a change for that.
Preach, Bryan, preach.
I will.
Just make sure you're offending the right people.
Exactly. So, Claire, this is another one. It's like, let's give you these 1-minute answer questions. What would entice you to accept a traditional publishing deal?
I'll keep this short. Nothing. I can't think of a single thing, and I was really trying to think of something, but a promise of more exposure. Okay, is that a promise or is that a guarantee? I need a guarantee of exposure. I need to see all of those numbers down. I need to see how it would benefit me more, guaranteed, if they're going to be taking some of my money. That would be a big part of it. And there's not really a guarantee that they can give. And I would probably be making less royalties. So I can't imagine it. I would welcome any traditional publisher who wants to try to give me a sweeter deal than I have as an indie publisher right now. But I really like where I'm at. I make money. I want to stay mid-list so that I don't have the headaches of going big and having people, hit me up. I know who all my cousins are, you guys. You can't sneak out of the woodwork and say you're my cousin. So yeah, I can't imagine anything that would entice me to sign with a traditional publisher.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a large dollar amount and I would have to be doing it for a reason.
Yeah, and I would have to retain all of the rights, which it's like at that point, why would they even want me?
Right, because you're just that cool. Just that cool. Claire, we need a question of the week here. We can talk about wool and this big Apple TV push and what you think about movie and film things. What do you want to ask about all this?
I would like to hear people's elevator pitch for the book or series they think is most suited for TV or movies.
Ooh, I love it. What is your one-liner? What is your elevator pitch for your book or series that has the best chance of being the next Apple TV Plus super
we now run Apple TV, you and I, Bryan, and so someone needs to pitch us this TV show of why we should get it on there and what the appeals are. Let me know demographics. Let me know emotional appeals. What's it about?
Yeah, let us know your pitch in our elevator of the Selma Book Show After Party Facebook group. or at sellmorebookshow.com, or even on our Sell More Book Show YouTube channel. So,
and we'll pass the word along to Apple. Don't worry.
Yeah. We're like one level below the person who is one level below the person you need to talk to. So
exactly.
Yeah. We know a guy on the inside.
Well, we'll let Hugh Howey know about it.
Yeah. Hey you. So Claire, it's mid-March. Anything else you want folks to know about coming up with FFS?
Well, I will be going to a few conferences in May. So you should come see me at the Oklahoma Writers Conference in Oklahoma City. That is May 4th through 6th, I believe. And then the Idaho Writers Guild Conference, Idaho Writers, up in Boise, May 17th through 20th, I believe.
You've got a busy May.
I do, yeah. It's going to be fun. So come see me at those conferences. I'll be speaking about, obviously, Enneagram and fiction and stuff.
Awesome. Yay. Cool. And I got a webinar on Thursday talking about dictation, which is always a good topic for conversation. So you can definitely pop on over to there. If you're on my list, you're probably getting all those emails already with the links. But yeah, Claire, great show. We did everything we could to support the indie community. And if we didn't do a good job, it's just...
That's the attitude I want to end every show on. We did everything we could.
We did everything we could. But I feel good about what we did here, and I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Everybody. So, for Claire, I'm Bryan. Have a great week of book selling, everybody. We'll be back next week with episode 467. Bye.
Bye.